Mounting your own snowboard bindings lets you fine-tune adjustments for a perfect ride. You'll need a number 3 Phillips head screwdriver, the screws that came with your bindings, and the inserts that came with your board. First, you have to figure out which foot goes at the front of your board. This is called your lead foot. Let yourself fall forward or have someone gently push you. Whichever foot you catch yourself with is likely your lead foot and will go at the tip of your board. You can tell which end is the tip by the direction of the logo. Mount the binding for your lead foot first. You can tell which binding is which by their curve, just like your boots. Also, bindings always buckle on the outside of your foot. Pop the rubber insert out of the channel and set it aside. Grab the mounting hardware that came with your board and slide in 2 of the channel inserts. Now pop that rubber insert back in. Place your binding over the inserts. Make sure the plastic guide on the bottom of the binding slides into the channel and that the inserts fit into the slots on the side of the binding. Next, insert the screws, but don't fully tighten them. Now, you need to determine your stance width and binding angles. Stance width is the distance between your bindings. Usually, a slightly wider stance makes for a more stable ride, while a narrower stance makes for faster edge-to-edge transitions. Channel boards indicate a center mounting position, and that's usually a good place to start. All you need to do is line up the reference mark on the board with the arrow on your binding. Remember, it's super easy to adjust your stance later. Next, set your binding angle. It's good to start with your lead foot set 15 degrees forward. Again, you can always adjust this angle later. Move your binding until the arrow lines up with the 15-degree tick mark. Make sure you choose the mark that points your binding toward the tip of the board and not the tail. The red line in the middle window indicates the center point for your bindings, but where your boots sit over the board is more important. Put your boot in the binding and center it to eliminate toe and heel drag as you turn. It's especially important to make sure your toes don't hang over too far. Remove your boot and note the position of that red line. Double check your stance and binding angles while holding the red line in the same place. Then tighten the screws until they're snug. Make sure not to strip the screws and check their tightness often. Now you can repeat the process on your back foot. Your back foot should be set at a slight backward angle, try 6 degrees. Again, make sure your binding is pointed back toward the tail. To recap, determine your lead foot and start with that binding. Loosely mount the binding for your lead foot at 15 degrees forward. Make sure your boot is centered over the board and tighten the screws. And repeat the process for your back binding at 6 degrees back.